right, here we are. Derrick Parker, the hip hop cop. A lot to talk about today.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
The raid on Diddy's homes. LA home, Miami home. At the same time, they were raided by Homeland Security. Break it down for me.
Supposedly, the Homeland Security is reporting that they had some evidence about some sex trafficking, and they had conducted search warrants on Puff's homes in Miami and Los Angeles. His kids were there, I was told, and they were arrested too, or taken into custody at the time. I don't know if they're still in or in jail, if they were charged with anything, but Puffy wasn't home at the time. I think later, from what I'm hearing, he may have been arrested later.
Right. Yeah, as far as we saw, from what I saw, because I was watching the news, they had his kids, his sons in handcuffs. Because I guess when they raid your home, hold you while they do the...
Well, not in all cases, but in cases where it's criminal activity, I think, that they have to arrest the occupants in the house if there's something to believe that there's material that they want. If my thing is that they raided the house and they were looking for evidence, probably pornographic photos, computer, tapes, anything that can prove that this sex trafficking took place.
Right. Let's talk about that, because these accusations, as far as sex trafficking or forcible, crazy activities, came from Cassie. Well, first off, there was always that rumor of Puff being, you know, bisexual or gay, whatever he does in his sex life. I don't know. There was always that rumor for a long time. So then, as of last year, I think, what was it, October, November of last year, the Cassie lawsuit became public, and he paid her off very quickly. Now, we've had private conversations whether or not there really is an investigation towards Puffy. Now, since that time, listen, Puffy is a smart guy. You know, I feel like he's smart enough to cover his tracks. I'm sure if there are alleged tapes, I'm pretty sure on his property, he's been able, because that was mentioned in the Cassie lawsuit, that he would, you know, tape his sexual activities or these kind of, whatever you want to call it, or whatever, you know. So I'm pretty sure if he has it or has had it, he doesn't have it at this moment. I'm pretty sure, you know.
Well, I can't say if he has it or not.
Right.
Nobody knows what's in his house. But, you know, they had enough evidence or enough information that they had a case against him to go in his house and look for certain items. Like you said, when Cassie got paid off, back then, everything just went like a house of cards.
Right.
There was a law that came out, I think, that if you were the victim of a rape or some sort of sexual abuse, you had a certain amount of time to put in a claim or to report it, or it would be null and void after that. So I think what happened after Cassie got paid very quickly, because she probably knew more than most people, right. Everybody started to think they could cash in on him. There were people that probably he had things with, you know, years ago, that are probably saying or alleged that he performed sexual acts on them, he forced them to do this. If you didn't do that, he would blackball you. A bunch of allegations came out. And then once these allegations came out, people started filing lawsuits against him. He abused me, he abused this one, he abused that one. Because, and one of the lawyers said it was a money grab. And in a way, it was, because all these people didn't come out with this before, but now since Cassie got paid, everybody started to come out and say, hey, look, this happened, that happened. I'm going after him. Everybody's going after him. And I think we've seen that in the news so many times that you see so many people just coming with new lawsuits every day. You know, and I think some of the people went to, as far as gone to the government to say some of the things that Puff has done that might be criminal. And that's why the Homeland Security and the feds are involved now.
Right. I'm sorry to stop you, but I have to tell you, know, this was posted on TMZ maybe a couple hours ago. It shows the video. It says, Diddy, new video shows trash house after raid. Mogul calls investigation witch hunt. So I want you to watch the video and you just tell me what you think.
Well, I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now what the video says.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
He said that basically they went in the house and they had no evidence, they had nothing, and they raided his house for nothing. This is what he's alleging now. That it was just a witch hunt, like he said. They just going after me on the basis of what people tell them. and they're going after me. So they went in the house, and when you get a search warrant, you're going to trash the house because you're looking under sofas, you're looking under floors, walls, bookshelves, cabinets. You know, you're looking around for whatever you can find. And the search warrant may tell you can search certain areas, except certain areas. You see, it has to include it may include in the search warrant what you can save, what you can search, and what you cannot search.
Oh, I see.
It has to include that.
Now, what's the difference of how does it work in order to get? I guess does it have to be signed by a judge? Because Homeland, can you define Homeland Security, or is it in
Homeland Security really deals with things that deal with people coming over here illegally, like with the migrants and people entering the country illegally, or things that do with the airport, crossing state lines. Homeland Security is out there to protect us. Don't get me wrong, they can get involved in other investigations as well. They have their own investigators that, if they have a case that takes them into some criminal activity, the Homeland Security guys can get involved in that too. Now, a search warrant has to be signed by a judge. That's no doubt. Every search warrant has to be signed by a judge, whether it's a federal magistrate or a local judge, has to be signed, and there has to be some probable cause or evidence that you believe may be crucial to the case that you're investigating, that you have to perform, go into a house or a building and search it. So, and the judge will sign off on that after he believes or she believes that you have enough probable cause for the search warrant.
And is it, I don't know, is it a difference with the feds and Homeland Security?
Well, the Fed, listen, they're all working under pretty much the federal government.
Okay.
But what happens too is that the U.S. attorney or the district attorney will make the motion to the judge or sign off on what's the word I'm looking for? They would present the case to the judge, and the judge will say, okay, you have sufficient grounds for a search warrant, and I'm going to sign off on it. And whatever you find, you have to report back to the court anyway, whatever you find in the house. Because once you get a search warrant, you have to close it out too, that you searched the premises and this is what you found.
Right. I know you've dealt with Diddy before, on a personal level, as far as his 99 club shooting in Club New York.
Well, I dealt with Diddy on a bunch of things. In Club New York shooting, I dealt with him on the Steve Stout with MTV.
Really?
I dealt with him a lot. I was like, back then, when Puffy was arrested, I was always the guy called to go and see what the heck was going on with him. Because every time something came up, back then he was a little controversial. He got involved in certain things, and then his name came up. But we got to know each other pretty well back then. I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't seen Puffy in years.
When you say pretty well, how well though?
Not well. I mean, like on a basis where he knew I was the detective and he was Puffy. It wasn't like we were friends. It wasn't like we hung out and stuff like that. We never did that. We kept it very professional. And like I said, I knew that he had a lot of things that happened. Some things were out of his control. Some things were in his control. You know what I'm saying? And he had certain problems that required law enforcement to be involved.
Now, it seems like throughout Diddy's life, there's always been these incidents, whether it be the incident back in the when people, I think, got trampled, or they got.
I think that was in Manhattan. Was it Manhattan College? It was a college up in Harlem. I think it was. And was it 99?
City College or something?
City College, right. I remember because I was working one day in my detective squad, and I had called my boss and I said, "Did you hear what happened in Harlem? There was a stampede at the game. It was a basketball game, I think, and then something happened where it was a dispute, and I don't know if there was shots fired, or I'm trying to remember back. But
I think like the doors were locked.
Yeah, the doors got locked. People wanted to get out, and then people called the stampede, and some people got hurt. I don't know if anybody got killed.
Suffocated. People suffocated.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So, but I do remember it because I was working back then, and I wanted to go up there at the time, and my boss didn't want me to go because it was up in Harlem, and I was covering Brooklyn at the time.
So, like with that being said, there's like these incidents with that, the Club New York shooting, this, that, where he's been able to escape and kind of reinvent himself and go through it at a happy ending. But at this time, it seems like there's no way out.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. Your past always catches up with you. You may have a few times when you're able to get out of things and you might skate on them, or maybe you move on. But then the problem you have is that when there's so many incidents that happen and so many things that come out, it's hard to get away from. And that's what he's facing right now. Right now, he's facing the problems of all these people that are coming forward saying that he did X, Y, and Z. So now he's got bigger problems. I'm sure that he's got his lawyers on top of things, but he's got a lot of problems right now. And especially in the Southern District, picking up that case, that's probably a big problem.
Let's talk about that. The Southern District is a federal. What would you say? It's a federal. How would we describe it to people?
It's the federal district attorney's office, as you would say.
Yeah.
You know, but it's Southern District covers Manhattan, the Bronx, Manhattan, and everything going north of New York.
Right.
The Eastern District covers Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and everything southern of New York that goes southeast. So the Southern District is probably, they say it's more the prestigious district to handle high profile cases because they do like, you know, money laundering, the mob.
Treyway.
They do. They do. Well, that's because those cases happen in Manhattan.
Right.
But, you know, the Southern District, they don't play. Once the feds get a hold of you with certain things, like if you're involved in a lot of criminal activity, they're gonna dig down and bite into you. They're not gonna let you go until something comes out. They're not gonna take a case unless they are gonna go forward with it.